Everybody, I noticed we already have some here. Hey, Julia, Celine, Amanda, Royal, Britannia, Ashley. Good to have you guys. I'm going to try to get this within an hour because at 8 o'clock, my husband is going to be on he pre-recorded something. He'll be on Ben the Baptist show, and I'm interested in hearing that. So we will cut off before then. So head over there at 8. There's a lot of stuff that's been coming on Monday nights at 8. So I'm glad I picked 7 so I can try to get done with everything before all of that. So I hope you're all doing well. Hello, Narissa. And make sure you guys like this. Subscribe if you haven't. Share. If you're a mother with teens, have them watch it. You know, all that good stuff. Hey, Morgan. Hey, KJV Disciples. And yeah, all the good stuff that we're doing. You know, get the word out. So I am going to be sharing a lot of testimonials from you all who have left comments and commentary in my Gently Led Sisters group. If you are not a part of that, make sure that you join it on Facebook. Gently Led Sisters group. Just look for it on Facebook. You just have to answer a couple questions. I want to kind of make sure, try to weed out the trolls. I want it to be a safe place. I want it to be a drama-free place. I don't want drama going on in there. And so far, so good. It's been great. We get a lot of good input from people. Go ahead, leave your comments, leave your questions, leave show suggestions, all that good stuff in my Gently Led Sisters group. So, hello, Shelly. So, tonight we're going to be talking about being content in your single years. And I know a lot of you are not single anymore. So this is specifically geared to a small group of ladies that watch my show, because obviously Gently Led Sisters is devoted to homemaking and homeschooling and raising children. So I'm not going to touch on this a lot, but I did want to touch on it because it is important. And a lot of us have teenage girls that are headed into their single years. So I really, really wanted to touch on a lot of the stuff just about being content when you're single, because I truly believe that being content when you're single will leach over into every area of life after you're married and, you know, once you start having children and all of that. So I really wanted to touch on this. Now, I was single for a few years. I did not really date. I didn't date at all through high school or any of that. You know, my husband was, obviously, I went through life. I liked boys, you know, I had little crushes here and there, but I did not seriously date anyone until my husband when I was 19. So I had I was single through my high school years and all that. And did not have a serious relationship until him. But I did have a couple years after I graduated where I was single. I was kind of in limbo. I had decided I was going to go to college, and then I had decided to take a year off because my dad had died. And I really felt I was a young 18 when my dad died. I really felt like my mom needed me because I was the oldest of 5, and he had just died a few months prior to me graduating. And so I really felt like she needed me. So I decided to take a year off and just kind of help around the house and just pursue my musical education as far as lessons. And I did start teaching piano and things like that during that time. Well, that year turned into a couple years, and then my husband and I got together, and the rest is history. So I never did go to college, which is fine. I would have just pursued my musical education, maybe gotten a non-accredited music degree from a Christian college. So it would have done just about, not much more than even just the private lessons I had in that time. So that being said, I did go through some things where I had to learn contentment. And, here's the secret. Married women are the best ones to give advice about how to be content in your single years, because we've been there and we've done it. Single women are still going through the process. And hindsight's 2020. It's always better to look back and see things that maybe you did wrong, see things that you could have done better, and then give advice to the younger women. The Bible talks about the older women giving advice to the younger women, not the other way around, the younger women giving advice to everyone. Not to say you can never give advice, but it's better coming from married women. So I've been in the ministry for a long time, almost 20 years, and I've observed that there are two kinds of single women. There's those that are happy, joyful, and content. And then there are those that embody the description in the Bible about single women. And I really feel like social media has fed into a lot of this. And obviously, you probably know the verse in 1 Timothy 5:14, but the younger widows refuse. Now, these are people that had been married before, but they're widows now, so they're single. For when they have begun to wax wanton against Christ, they will marry, having damnation because they cast off their first faith. And this is the part that we need to key in. And withal, they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. I will, therefore, that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, for some are already turned aside after Satan. And I think the biggest key in that is that they're idle. They're not busy enough. There's not enough on their plate. And, it says wandering about from house to house, not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. Tattlers, accusing people, telling on people, did you see what this person did? Did you hear what this person did? Causing drama on social media. All this stuff can be done on Facebook. Back then, they actually had to get up, walk to their neighbor's house, walk to the other house, walk to the other house. Whoever they wanted to tell, they had to walk. Now it's so easy. You can do a Facebook post. You can go in, you can go anywhere on Facebook and just say anything you want about anyone. So now this is happening on social media, and I think it's caused a bigger monster when it comes to single women. You really have to guard how you come across. I believe social media reveals a lot about the heart. It reveals a lot about the person. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh, or the fingers. And it comes through. It comes through the written word. It comes through in how you perceive others. It comes through in if you're just always wanting to be online, giving the gossip, staying caught up with the gossip, tearing down another person and tearing down a brother in Christ, that's evil and wicked. And a lot of single women fall into that trap. They don't have husbands putting them in their places. They don't have someone saying, whoa, you need to just scale it back a little, so they often are online, and online makes it much easier than going from house to house like in the Bible days. So, hello, Marissa, and it's your girl, Natasha. Hi. I'm glad you're that happy, joyful, single girl. I tried to be. Now, if you read my diary from the time that I was single, I did deal with loneliness, and I did deal with, what am I going to do with my life? What does God have planned for me? I just need to wait on the Lord. I wrote a lot about waiting on the Lord and having patience. And, I could go back and show you, I had hard times, but I never have ever in my entire life wanted to be that bitter person, the person that just hated everyone, hated life, hated when other people were happy. I want to be happy. I want to be that happy person that's bringing joy to other people. So even as a 17, 18, 19-year-old, I strove to bring joy to people's lives and not to have people walking around on eggshells, around me. I strove to be joyful when my best friend started getting married before me, started having serious boyfriends before me. I never wanted them to not tell me something because they were afraid of my reaction, if that makes sense. So, social media has enabled single women, actually any women for that matter, to be busybodies and involved in things that they should not be very easily without even leaving their homes. And I think this in turn adds to their discontentment. So I'm going to be sharing some advice given by women who were single for many years in the Gently Led Sisters group, more than me, along with tips from when I was single. Okay, and I really think the first thing that you need to realize is it comes down to being content while single will spill over into every area of life. Getting married is not the end game. getting married is not the cure for every problem in your life. In fact, when you get married, there's going to be more and more problems that come along. Just wait. Being single is probably one of the easiest times in your life as far as personal responsibility. You are only responsible for yourself. At this time, right now, doing this show, I am not only responsible for myself, I am responsible for the baby growing in my womb. I am responsible for my husband's well-being in a lot of things as far as food and eating and physical needs and providing a peaceful home. I am responsible for 7 other human beings. That's a lot of responsibility. So obviously, you have time to adapt. You start out with just one, your husband, and then as you start any kids on, that's more and more and more responsibility. But some days it can feel very overwhelming. When I was single, I was responsible for myself. So, just learn to be content with that, because there's so much going into marriage that you have no clue about. Absolutely no clue. Patricia, that is a great idea. I love your idea. She said, I actually decided it was best to leave social media until I get married. My daughter will not be on Facebook until she gets married. That's just what I've decided. I see too much nonsense coming out of single girls a lot of times. Now, the ones that interact with Gently Led Sisters, I have to give a shout out to you. I've not seen anything from you. And there's a couple single girls I'm thinking of. Angelique, you have always been super sweet, super nice. Emily from my church, of course, I'm biased. I know her in real life. I've never seen anything from her questionable on social media. I've never seen her involved in any type of drama. Hey, Angelique's on. So yeah, Angelique, I've never seen you involved in drama. I've always seen you be very sweet. You have a very sweet spirit, and that comes across, even online. And I think online your spirit shows. So, well, you don't show it, because I've never seen anything but sweetness come out of you. And anytime there's been any type of drama, you have not been involved. And that says a lot about you. You're going to carry that over into your marriage, and your husband will appreciate that. So, getting married doesn't magically solve your problems. If you are bitter while you're single, you're going to be bitter while you're married. If you are angry when you're single, that's just going to be magnified when you're married. If you are discontent when you're single, that's going to be magnified when you're married. So getting married does not make you suddenly this happy, content, peaceful woman. So that's all stuff that you have to cultivate, when you are only responsible for yourself. So if it, getting married doesn't make you happier, more content, it might for the honeymoon the honeymoon season. I remember my husband and our honeymoon was great. And we actually had our first really big disagreement just a couple weeks into our marriage. And I think we were both shocked, like, who is this person that I thought I married? We had just had tiny little disagreements when we were dating, your lovebirds and blah, blah, blah. Well, it was a pretty big one, and it was over something so stupid. Now, when I think back about it, and we were just both kind of shocked, like, I didn't know they were capable of fighting like this or arguing like this, and there's a lot of stuff to work through when you're first married. I would say the first 5 years is the hardest. I think it was for us. After about 5 years, things start to click, and you start to realize that I maybe better stay away from that subject. I better maybe not bring that up. You learn what ticks the other person off. You learn you don't want to fight about stupid stuff. And it's now very, very rare that we even argue. So, but it is hard work. Marriage is hard work, and you have to die to self daily. Last night I got 4 hours of sleep, and when I don't get much sleep has always been my love language. Like, I just love to sleep because I feel like I've always needed a lot since I was little. And when I don't feel rested, I get grouchy and I get irritable. Well, I could choose to just focus on the fact that I'm tired and lash out at everyone. But, you know, as a mother, you control the thermostat in your home as far as peace goes, and as far as moods go, and as far as how you interact with your husband. How you interact with your husband is also going to set the tone for a lot of things. So you have to die to self daily. You don't just get to act however you feel. If you're tired, you have to power through. If you're sick, a lot of times you have to direct from the couch. You know, it's hard work. It's hard work working on a marriage. Nothing good in life is easy. So, but, you know, many problems are going to arise, and you'll soon be comparing your life to others if you already are not a content person. If you are single and you are just constantly, well, my life's going to get better when I get a man. My life's going to be better when this happens. You know, my life is going to be better when this happens. Then that's going to spill over into your marriage. You know, what if you get married and you can't have children right away? Then it will always be, well, my life will be better when I have a child, and my life will be better when I finally get pregnant. You know, well, let's say you finally get pregnant 5 years in. What happens if, you know, once you have that child, then, you know, my life will be better. Oh, this is so hard. I didn't know having kids was so hard. My life will be better when they can walk. My life will be better. You know, it's just an ongoing cycle, and it never ends. So you have to learn to be content in whatsoever state you are. You know, like Paul said, he has learned that whatsoever state he is, therewith to be content. It's definitely a heart issue. It's something I have worked and I am working on for my whole life. But like I said, from the time I was younger, you can even ask my sisters about it. My sister Sarah would always tell me, I don't know why. How are you? You're content about everything. I wish I could be like that. And I'm like, you can be like that. You have to work at it. It doesn't come magically. I was born with a very impatient personality. I was born with a very temperament. I'm very stubborn. You know, I have a temper. I have all these bad characteristics that I've really had to work on my entire life. And being content is not just something that God magically bestowed on me. It's something I've had to work on. I've had to decide from a young age, I am going to be content with whatever God gives me. That's why my house, we live in a super teeny tiny house, but I love it. I'm content. We live in the country. I love the country. Yeah, could we use a bigger house with all the kids we have? Sure, we could. But I love the house that I have because that's what we can afford. That's what God has given us. And I'm just going to learn to live with it and be content with all the little problems that it has. So, you know, one of the things that you do when you do get married, if you have not learned to be content as a single woman, is you compare romance in your marriage to that of other people. You know, my husband's he's never romantic. He never does this for me. He never does that for me. Comparing kids, you know, why is my kid like this and their kid's not? You know, comparing financial state, which you can do even as a single woman. You know, I'm so poor. Why do they have so much more money than me? Comparing the supposed public image, you know, of other people. Just remember that comparison is the thief of joy. When you're single, comparison is the thief of joy. It will suck away your joy if you're constantly comparing your life with other people's. And especially with Facebook. Facebook, anyone can portray any type of image on Facebook that they want to. You know, go off the people that you love in real life. You know, go off the people that you know in real life. Go off relationships with them. Online relationships are so fickle. You know, my friendships that are dear to me are the ones that last years. And, you know, obviously my best friend I've had for so many years, since I was 12. So many, many, many years. And she will always, you know, hold a special place in my heart. And she will always be my best friend just because I've been best friends with her for so long. So Angeli said, I also find that you are comparing someone else's results to yours without thinking about how they got there. Exactly. It's easy to want someone else's money, but not consider how hard they worked for it. And you know what? That goes with anything, even as far as getting married and the struggles that, you know, younger married people go through when they're first, financial struggles and just learning to get along with each other. And there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize, and they don't know until they've actually been through it. So Shelley, you're absolutely right. It is a mindful, purposeful decision that you have to make daily, sometimes several times a day, depending on how the day is going. I have often told myself, Cassandra, you're having a really bad day, or you're having a really bad week. Okay, but do I want this to make everyone else in the house have a bad week as well? Do they really need to suffer because I'm having a bad day? Once again, dying to self. And as a single woman, you're going to have to die to self too. You're going to have to die to your wants and your desires sometimes. Many of you single women, you want to get married like yesterday, but God has not brought that guy into your life. And so you have to die to self and just realize God knows what he's doing. I need to trust in him. And in the meantime, I'm going to serve him as best as I can, because I'm telling you, single people have the biggest opportunity to serve the Lord in the biggest ways. And the Bible talks about that. Paul said, I would that all men would remain as I, but if a man cannot, what is it? If he cannot contain himself, it is better to marry than to burn. He realized that men do have physical desires and physical needs, but for him, it wasn't a big issue. So he was able to do some of the biggest things, out of anyone in the Bible, because he was single. He didn't have the responsibilities of a wife and a home. As a single woman, you don't have the responsibilities that married women have. And, that's another thing too. If you are single, give your pastor's wife some grace. I have, a few times in the ministry and they were always single women, come through the church that expected me to be their counselor, their best friend, their confidant, to be able to spend hours with them on the phone. And that is just not feasible in my life. I don't have hours to spare. I don't think that's in the description of pastor's wife. I firmly believe that a pastor's wife is the wife of the pastor, and him and the kids are her main responsibility. If I'm able to have friendships in the church, which I do, that's great. If I'm able to text, I think texting is the easiest for me, because you can do it while cooking supper, or while multitasking, while cleaning, whatever. So I think texting is probably the best way to get a hold of me rather than calling. But I have had women that came through. We had one woman that had a lot of health problems, and she literally told my husband she wanted me to come spend the day with her, like multiple days. She wanted me to be there the whole week and just sit in her home with her. That is completely unrealistic and not feasible. And it's not in the Bible that I have to do that. My job is to run the home, not sit in someone else's home because she has health problems. So if you are single, realize that your pastor's wife has a lot on her plate. And if she can give you advice, that's wonderful. I would recommend trying to get it at church, though, not outside of that. I've often told people that come through, I am here all day on Sunday, pretty much. Sometimes I go home to give Kelly a nap. I'm here for hours on Sunday. I'm here an hour before church on Wednesday. I'm here for 2 hours after church on Wednesday. You can find me there. If you need advice, I would love to talk about, things with you at church. So give her some grace. Realize that you have no idea. You have no idea what she's got on her plate because you've never been through it. So realize that. Be socially and self-aware enough that you realize that she's got a lot on her plate. So, sorry, I'm missing a lot of the chat. But, okay, so now I have some things written by you in the Gently Led Sisters group about how you learned how to find contentment and how you've dealt with being single. So Emily wrote, maintaining a spirit of peace and contentment will always be a struggle as you immerse yourself in God's word, worship with people from your church, and devote yourself to prayer, that you never be robbed of your joy and peace that is found in Christ. God has a plan for everyone. And being single, you need to put all your trust in God. He has the right man for everyone. And I do agree. I don't even believe in this whole, there's a soulmate. There's just one out of the entire universe for everyone. No, we pick and choose our spouses. We usually pick and choose based off, different standards that we have. For my husband and I, one of our standards for each, my standard and his standard was we wanted to marry a virgin. And that was one of the absolute, it has to be this. And we both got that. That was one of the things. Obviously, number one is a Christian. Number two, I really wanted someone that was good with kids and wanted a lot of kids. And number three, I like outgoing. I like outgoing men because I'm outgoing. I don't think I'd get along real well with introverted men. And I needed someone that could handle my outgoing personality, my stubbornness, my, feistiness. I needed someone that could handle that. And he does. He is perfect for me. But we chose each other. We were attracted to each other, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. So you do have a choice. You do choose who you're married to. And I do believe that there is a good fit, for people out there. So go for someone that you are compatible with. Don't try to force things. If you're talking to someone and you're getting the heebie-jeebie vibes, trust your intuition. It's probably correct. God gave us intuition for a reason. Run away if it's, if it's creeping you out. So Morgan said, honesty and faithfulness were my deal makers. Matt fit the bill and still does. Aw, that's nice. Yeah, he's a good, dependable guy. Mia said, helping people who are married with kids. That was one of the things she dealt with it. That's a good idea. Being a helpmeet to not a helpmeet. That's our job to our husbands. Being a mother's helper to maybe women that are overwhelmed in your church. I did that as a teen. That was one of the things I was going to focus on. I loved doing that. And I just did it because I loved it. I didn't realize I was actually being a blessing to these moms until now when I have all these kids. Then I'm like, wow, I was really being a blessing. I didn't even know it. But she said, moving out of the mindset that my life begins at marriage. Exactly. Your life you have so much life before marriage and you have so much to offer. You have so many years that you can serve God with your whole heart and not have all these other personal responsibilities crowding in. I personally I am fostering children. Yes, she fosters children, but that isn't for everyone. Spending time with other single ladies in the same season of life, buying myself with things I won't be able to do once married with children. That's true. Lots of coffee dates with friends to enjoy this season of life. Great question. Contentment unmarried has been hard for me and something I only began to feel and experience in the last couple of years. Well, it sounds like she's doing a really good job of staying ahead of it, though. So, and then Ashley said, I can say that being patient and waiting and embracing where you're at in life is much more rewarding and peaceful than not finding contentment during that time. And it is true. You can go through your life constantly reaching for the next thing, or you can learn to be content in whatever state you are. Enjoy whatever state you are. Enjoy being single. Enjoy being newly married. Enjoy your first baby. Enjoy the subsequent babies that come. I've enjoyed every area of every stage of my kid's life. I've enjoyed every bit of it. Christine said, I only got married when I was 30. I met my husband when I was 29. It was very difficult for me as I yearned to be a wife and a mother. I learned that Christ was enough. It was when I learned that Christ was enough. I found contentment in him and that God blessed me with a spouse. Be, as Paul says, content in whatever state you are. Make Christ the center of your heart and the first true love. While you are unmarried, you can devote yourself completely to him. Backing up what I said earlier, we won't be wives in heaven. Life is but a vapor. Focus on eternity. That's what helped me. That's awesome advice. Dorothy said, I wish I had invested in myself when I was single. Take the time to develop interests and hobbies because once you have a husband and kids, you have little free time. Exactly. I am so glad when I was single, I invested all that time into music. It helped me so much. And it's helped me run my own music studio now. All those years that I just hit the private lessons hard. I did hour of flute a week. I did piano lessons still. I did voice lessons. I went to music camps and music conventions and learned everything I could about music during that time because I was able to. And I helped teach at the Christian school. I helped teach music. That's actually where my husband and I first started getting to know each other, because he was teaching music as well. So I was doing all these things, investing into my musical education, not even knowing that it would help me down the road. So yes, now since I've been married, my rate of practice has gone way down. I am only able to practice a couple times a week, where I was able to do it pretty much every day before, because I have too many other responsibilities to tend to. So yeah, music really helps out. Yep. And see, Emily, you're totally involved, and you're taking lessons. You're learning piano now, and you're doing all that good stuff when you're single. That's going to help you down the road. So, don't fit the description in 1 Timothy that I read at the beginning. That would be getting involved in matters that are not your own, becoming bitter, being involved in strife, especially online. Try to learn from the older women. Do not despise them. I wanted to hit on this generation, and I'm not even talking about the ones that mainly watch my show. I have never seen this from you. So good for you. You're actually doing the biblical principle of listening to older, wiser women. I don't even think I'm that old, but I guess I'm getting up there. When I start calling 25-year-old people kids, I guess I am getting older, which I just did yesterday. But this generation has a level of disrespect, this millennial generation, that I've never seen before. I've never seen it. I would not have been caught dead talking the way that I've had some people talk to me online, especially single women, just horrible, vile bitterness just spewing from their mouth towards me. And I have never seen this level of disrespect before. They think they can talk, act however they want to older, wiser Christians, sisters in Christ. And it shocks me every time. I'll never understand that mindset. I was raised to respect my elders. And then as a young single woman and as a newly married woman, I soaked up everything I could from the older ladies in our church. I wanted to listen to everything they had to tell me. They would invite my husband and I over for dinner, and they would just I did a whole show about how to be a good church member. This is the one I'm thinking of, Jane, and she would just tell me all this advice, and I just loved it. I would soak it up, and I see the level of disdain that a lot of single women have towards older married women, and it's revolting to me. And the Bible does not teach that at all. It teaches that you're supposed to learn from the older women. You're not supposed to despise the older women. So I don't know where that has come from, if it's maybe the way they were raised, but I know a lot of unsaved people that were not raised the same way I was, and they still don't have that level of disrespect. So the level of disrespect I'm talking about is coming from saved people. That shocks me. Definitely shocks me. Even if I didn't get along with someone older than me, I just avoided them. I would never confront them and tell them what I was really thinking and just let it all spill out. I didn't engage in combative arguments with them. You would be shocked at some of the ways single young women have come at me before. And if they treat me that way, they're going to eventually treat their husband that way. You can't be bitter and angry and contentious towards everyone in your life that you don't agree with, and then someday get married and never be that way towards your husband, because you know what? There's going to be a lot of times you don't agree with him. And that spirit is going to come out. That nasty, just fighting, angry spirit, that's going to come out towards your husband. I guarantee it. Their bitterness spills from their heart through their mouth. So it definitely does. Read books on being a Proverbs 31 woman. The woman in Proverbs 31 did not get an entire chapter of the Bible written about her simply for being a woman. We don't get to claim we're a Proverbs 31 woman when we don't do anything that's written in there. You don't just get to claim it because you're a woman, because of your gender. Nope. We have to work at the character traits mentioned. And a lot of it is work. Most of it is work in there. Take advice from the older woman. Don't surround yourself with an echo chamber of single ladies. You remember the story in the Bible about the king that decided to take the advice from the peers that he had grown up with, and he rejected the advice of the older men? What happened? It was horrible, disastrous effect, and he ended up losing the kingdom because of that. So you don't want to be in an echo chamber of single young ladies that are going to encourage bad behaviors. You want people that will be your real friend and try to nip it in the bud and say, listen, you're coming across this way. You're coming across this way. You know, if an older lady tells you that, don't despise it. Take it to heart. I value honesty and friendship in a relationship, and you should too. You know, don't just surround yourself with people who are going to be your yes men. And then stay busy. Stay busy is the biggest thing. You have to find hobbies. You have to find interests. If you have an outside job, don't go home at 4 or 5 o'clock every night and then spend the rest of the night on social media. That is going to breed a horrible spirit. That is going to just, you're going to become idle. Then you're going to fit the description of an idle woman. Going around being involved in matters that aren't your own. So get some hobbies. Go work out. You know, take care of yourself, cook good meals, take care of yourself now before you start having kids. Get your body ready, you know, to start bearing children eventually when you get married. So realize that motherhood and being a wife is difficult. Oh, this is from Angelie, I think. I think it cut off her name. Oh, yeah. Angelie said, one way that she learned to be content was realizing that motherhood and being a wife is difficult. It absolutely is. Being single has its difficulties. I'm not downplaying being single. It can be a lonely time. But motherhood and wife, being a mother and a wife is very, very difficult too. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Though I absolutely want those things in my life, I'm learning that it isn't going to be all sunshine and roses. Nope. And the glorified image I have in my head, that it will come with really tough days. And it really does. Being single, I'm able to do the things I enjoy with little other responsibilities, such as drawing. Though I'd never want to do drawing instead of being a wife or mother, I appreciate having time to myself while I wait. She actually said whilst I wait, which I think is an England thing. American thing is while I wait, because I won't always have it. And that is absolutely 100% truth. And I really admire the fact that you do have so much passion when it comes to your hobby, your interest, your line of work. You know, you love to draw. You're so good at drawing, and you're really investing in that, because when you get married and start having kiddos, that time is going to go way down. So, and there's some good recommendations in the chat. Proverbs 31 books. There is a book written by Kathy Coral, I think, called Proverbs 31 Woman. I'll have to look, you know, let me look through my books and see if I can come up with any suggestions. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. There is one, Preparing to Be His Helpmeet for Single Women, but that's written by the Pearls, by Debbie Pearl, and that family's kind of weird. So I'm not going to recommend any of those books because I don't agree with a lot of the stuff they put out. So I'm not even going to recommend that. Julia said, I'm not single anymore, but I didn't get married until 27. I struggled with depression, thinking I was never going to get married, that there wasn't anyone who could love me because I was fat and ugly and shy. Oh, Julia. I tried some Christian dating sites and it wasn't working out. So I prayed on it and I decided to take a step back for a while and put it in God's hands. I canceled all my accounts on the dating sites. The verse, or I know the plans I have for you, helped me a lot in that decision. After that, I felt such peace with it. A few months later, I was moved to sign up for a free Christian dating site. And Chris, my husband, was the first person to message me. When I was taking a break from looking, I really focused on figuring out what I was really looking for and reading the Bible to see what would be expected from me, and really came to terms with the fact that what I think I want may not be what I need in a partner, and really learning to trust God's timing and that He would bring me what I needed. I worked on having more of an open mind instead of a checklist of traits or personality type I thought would go well with mine. I did have a list, but it was very short. 1, he is saved and living for God, and 2, honest and trustworthy. Everything else I left up to God, and He brought me the perfect husband for me, exactly what I need, but not exactly what I have expected. And you two are perfect for each other. I do agree. I know you in real life. So Denise said, I'm single. I tried looking for a boyfriend of my own, but looked in the wrong place, the wrong type of person. Thank God that didn't work. Yeah. I now know what kind of person I want, but I'm not going to be a pursuer anymore. Good advice. As women, we don't want to be the pursuers. I never wanted to be a pursuer of any man because, like I said, I knew I needed a strong leader, and I knew I needed someone that could handle my spunkiness And if I would have pursued someone, that wouldn't have been good because I probably would have the stronger personality. I needed someone with a stronger personality than mine. And I got that. So I'll let people pursue me when the time comes. I can't avoid to think about the future and if I ever will have someone, but I know kids and marriage isn't easy. So enjoying my time now, exercising and being a housewife in my parents' house. That's another thing. If you live at home, you can be a huge blessing to your parents just by helping out, helping around the house and different things like that. So, and then I do not know how to say this name. This is a foreign name. Ayof de Pure. I don't know if that's French. Getting married and becoming a mother is not a fix that will make you content all of a sudden. If you are not content single, you will not be content married. Thank you for reiterating my advice. Exactly. Of course, my husband makes me happy, but married life brings a lot of responsibility, and you cannot expect him to be the root of all your happiness. That comes from your relationship with the Lord. Use your single years to learn skills that will bless your husband and home. Also, you may be single because God is using you in a certain way or teaching you something or perhaps working in some way in your future husband. I love what you said about the skills. Right now is the time to develop those. You know what? If you have a job, go to college, do online college. If you're living at home, do some kind of online learning. There's so many online classes available now because of this COVID stuff. So really take advantage of that. Learn a skill, learn knitting, learn sewing, learn baking, learn how to be a chef, different skills that can help your family eventually. So Karen said, I like the book, Not Your Mother's Rules. I don't agree with everything, but you cannot make yourself so available. Answering texts ASAP, long DM conversations, etc. Boundaries and mystery are a must. Nice. I like that. And Karen, I've noticed too, I think nowadays you have to be careful. I think single women can be just a little too overzealous and maybe come across very strongly to guys that they're just talking to. You have to get to know if you even click. You have to see if you're compatible. You can't just go from 0 to 100. You have to take time. Time is your friend when it comes to getting to know if you want to spend the rest of your life with this person. Now, once it's been established for both of you, I would recommend short engagements. But up until that time, marriage is the second most important decision you're going to make for the rest of your life. Getting saved is number 1. Who you marry is number 2, because it is for life. My husband and I will be married 20 years in April, which means that we now have been married. We've been married for half of our lives together. We're already at half of our lives. We got married when we were 20, and now we're going to be going into our 40th year being married 20 years. So for half of our lives, we've been together, and it's flown by. It really does fly by after you get married. And, just realizing it's for keeps. So, yeah, it's very, very important. And yeah, maybe, I do feel like we don't have an element of mystery because we put so much online. Even me, I meet women all the time who are like, I feel like I know you. And I feel bad because I don't know them, because they don't have a YouTube show that I watch every week. But they know so much about me and my interests and what I like and, how my husband and I are and, different things like that. And so there is a level of mystery that's not there that would be good to kind of, you don't want to be too aggressive in a relationship when it comes to meeting someone and getting to know them and things like that. So Mel said, I got married at 31 and I was saved at 12, and I was at the church the whole time, saved a year because of work. I was the most content when I was the most busy doing the right things. Yes, definitely. I worked full-time at an office job, practiced the piano for 2 hours a day, and walked my dog for an hour. I also served in many ministries in church and lived with my parents and brother until I get married. The year I was away from home was the worst. I lived in staff housing with colleagues who were of the world. I was going to a lame church too, because that's all there was. I felt lonely and very angry and bitter at that time. So I think keeping the right company and being busy was the main things for me. I will definitely agree. And, keeping the right company is good too, because if you're a young, pure Christian single girl, You don't need to be hanging out with, the feministy, embittered, just sleep around with everyone type of women. That's going to rub off on you. It's going to start putting feelings of discontent in your head. Know what you want and what you're saving yourself for, and work towards that goal. If you want to remain a virgin, it's best to have other friends that have that same goal in mind, and not hang out with the ones who sleep with the boyfriend on the first date and then they recycle them. And, every other week it's a different guy that they're sleeping with. So keep that in mind too. Your company is so important. Then Mrs. Holly Robinson said, I don't know if I'd say I was single for years, but I was a month shy of 26 when I got married, and my husband was 29. That's single for years. We have both talked about how getting married a little later in life allowed us to mature, and definitely saved us from many, many arguments we would have had as a younger, less mature married couple. I can attest to that. I often say my husband and I grew up together, and that's why I think there was so many heated arguments when we were younger, because we were both very immature. So we also learned a lot from our past mistakes, which caused us to have a stronger appreciation for each other. My husband has said many times that living on his own for a decade really caused him to appreciate all I do. That's nice. Being single is a great time to strengthen skills like cooking, or to learn focus on a hobby. It is also the perfect time to build a strong relationship with the Lord, pray, read the Bible, etc. The Lord can do great things with single people, and I completely agree. You guys have so much potential. So much potential. In fact, I really feel like single women can do so much more for the Lord than married women can. I mean, Paul pretty much stated that, about being single like him. So you have so much potential. It's just, what are you going to do with that extra time that you have on your hands? Are you going to squander it on social media and getting involved in pettiness? Are you going to squander it like that? Or are you going to do something for the Lord? Are you going to go soul winning all that you can? Are you going to be involved in every church that ministry that you can? Are you going to be there every time the doors are open? Are you going to volunteer at the church? Are you going to help clean? Are you going to, volunteer to help with the kids around the church on that day? There's so much you can do. And then she said, I think some young people have this expectation that if they don't get married in their early 20s, something is wrong with them. That is so far from the truth. It's okay to not be married young, and it's okay to enjoy that season of life. Exactly. I agree wholeheartedly. And then Royal said, is it okay to have close unsaved friends even if they have traditional values? I know we're encouraged to spend time with other Christians, but not everyone has that option. I think it's okay, as long as they're not being a bad influence on you, and you can be a good influence on them. Maybe you can witness to them, if they're not causing you to try to sin. I think that's fine. If they're, I know a lot of very, very good, moral, unsaved people. And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with being around those type of people, as long as they're not encouraging you to sin, as long as they're not encouraging you to do something wrong, and you can be a witness to them. I realize not everyone has the option of a good church family like we do here. So, Shelley, that is tough. Yeah, when there's not a lot of young-minded or like-minded young ladies her age. I'm trying to think. I don't really know of any groups. I would try to encourage, or maybe, like I said, I don't believe in just having like the singles group with just single ladies with no married women in it. I really feel like it needs to be a mix, because I feel like single women can feed off too much, of each other sometimes, and they need the married women to kind of calm them down a little bit. So I'm trying to think of, social media might be okay in that aspect. If you're okay with her, to just kind of connect, or start writing, or start talking to other single women that have the same passions as her and the same goals as her, just for the support that it brings. So, and then Ashley said, I am married, but what about single women whose parents believe in adult kids being on their own? Not all parents want adult children living at home. Do you think that they should get a roommate? That is a loaded question. If your parents really are going to just kick you out, maybe it would be good to get a roommate that's another single young lady that you can, be accountable to and have a friendship with. And I don't know. I would probably have to say that should be taken case by case, knowing the person. Yeah, that's a loaded question. So that would be hard for me to answer without knowing the people involved, really. So, all right. And then Dejana said, putting my entire focus on the Lord, trusting that God has a better plan for me, praying every day, meditating on God's word, being consistent at this. It really works, and I love where I'm at. I'm enjoying a single life now, soul winning and fellowshipping with my brothers and sisters inside and outside the church. Being consistent at this really helps me to stop looking and just trusting that God will bless me with someone down the road on his time. Very good. And then Charlotte said, realizing I'm still young and that there's plenty I can work on to get myself ready to be married or in a relationship, trusting God to put the right guy in my life at the right time and not chasing really helps too. When I used to chase guys, it put a lot of unnecessary pressure and stress. It does, because you have this goal in mind, like this has to work out, and that's just putting so much stress on your mind and so much pressure on you. But now that I just don't think about it and let God help me, I feel super content. Good for you, Charlotte. And then Gabby said, I'm a single mom of 2, and I just leave it in God's hands. I'm not saying it's easy, and I don't think about having a partner, but God knows the right timing and future husband for me and a great father figure to my kids. I'm waiting patiently, or at least trying to. It's so hard at times, but I know my Father God has me and mine. Yeah, and I can't even imagine being a single mom and having children to raise. That would be really tough without a husband. I'm going to, give props to you, because that would be tough. That would be really, really tough. Julia said, when I was single, I did a stint with a roommate. It was a huge mistake. So she says, no, don't do it. She came back from a trip and decided to invite a friend she connected with in Portland to come visit and stay with us. Yeah, you would have to make sure they're on the same page with you with everything. Okay, so I'm going to try to wrap it up in the next couple minutes. So here we go. The most important thing is keeping yourself busy. Work on the skills that you already have. Learn a new skill. Realize that now is the time that you have time. Once you get married, that time is fleeting. You might have an hour to yourself every day, maybe. Other than that, you're focusing on others. Okay. I don't even know if I have an hour to myself every day, especially the way that Kelly's been sleeping lately. Like I said, I got 4 hours of sleep last night, so I didn't even have my full 7 hours of sleep to myself. I had to be up and down all night with her. I don't know if she's getting teeth or what. I don't know what her problem is, but your life is not your own when you're married and you have kids. That is for sure. Memorize scriptures. That's a good idea. Now is the time to memorize scriptures. The majority of scripture that I have memorized is from when I was a kid and I was a teen and a young adult. Since I've been married, it's super, super difficult to do. Super difficult. I try to do the monthly memory verse that my husband has in the bulletin, and sometimes I don't even succeed at that. Any other Liberty women with me? You know what I'm talking about? So it's really, really hard after you get married. Help around the house if you still live at home. Yep, definitely. Pursue further schooling, whether that is in the form of private lessons. I actually have a single guy that's 22 or so that is taking lessons because he still wants to continue to learn now in this time when he's single and he's not married. So he does piano lessons. I did the same thing when I was single. I furthered my musical education. So that's definitely something that you can do. Good night, Shelly. And then Amanda said, enjoy being in the bathroom alone. Cherish it, because once you have kids, those days are gone. Almost every time I go in the bathroom, Kelly comes with me. Even at church, you have to be able to watch them. So there you are. Yes, I agree. You should teach your young children to memorize verses while they are little sponges. Exactly. Because I still remember verses I learned when I was little. Continue lessons in art or music. Like we have an arts and academy here in town that does art lessons. You could further it in that. You could be a nanny. I babysat. That was kind of my source of income as a teenager. I babysat for all the families in our church. I loved it. I've always been involved. I love kids. Always been around them. Music lessons, you can take them and give them after I graduated, I would come to Lighthouse, the church I was at, and I gave music lessons, and I was taking music lessons at the same time. So making a little money on the side and then just being busy. Of course, I came from the age before social media. We had no Facebook. I didn't even get a cell phone until I'd been married for years. So that was not as big of a temptation back then. I realize that kids and single women face a lot more temptation now, when it comes to social media. But be as involved in church as you can be. I cannot stress this enough. Go to church every time the doors are open. Be involved in the soul winning program. Help out where you see that there is a need, or some area needs help. Be a blessing. Limit your online activities. I would definitely highly recommend that. My 18-year-old, he doesn't even have Facebook. They have Instagram, and sometimes I tell Jason that he's being stupid. He thinks the fun, the memes are, some of the memes he posts are so stupid. I don't get them at all, and I think they're dumb. So if I think they're really dumb, I tell him to take them down. So they're not going to have Facebook until they're married. That's just a rule in our home because we've seen too much on there. And a lot of it comes from single people that have too much time on their hands. A lot of it's from married people too, but that's just a rule in our house. So read, write, and learn. Okay. Do that while you are single. Realize that there are different seasons in life. Marriage does not suddenly make you a complete person. You are a complete person in Christ now. Look to him to comfort and guide you. In the meantime, get involved in your church. Listen to counsel. Don't be a busybody. Work on cultivating a sweet spirit. Respect your dad. Respect your pastor. If you have contempt for others, that's going to scare potential suitors away from you. I'm telling you, you don't want a contemptuous attitude. You don't want a bad spirit. You don't want bitterness spilling out. That will scare away guys. Guys want a sweet girl to marry. They want someone that's sweet. They want someone that's kind. They want someone that's graceful. If you have that bad spirit, it will scare away potential suitors. Some of the nicest people I have ever known have been single. And then some of the nastiest women I have ever known have been single. So it goes both ways. Same with married people too. But surround yourself with those who will tell you the truth and not just what you want to hear. Surround yourself with the older women, balanced with the younger women. Have a good balance in your life. Don't just live in an echo chamber, but don't just surround yourself with all the older women too and no friends your own age. We all need people that we can relate to and can help us through different seasons in our life. We all need people like that. So that would be what I would encourage you. You heard a lot of good advice from people that are single, that were single. And, I was not single as long as some, but I was still single at one time. I know it can be a lonely time. I know it can be stressful, but you are complete in Christ. Marriage is not the end all to everything. Marriage is not the only way you can be happy. Learn to be happy now. Learn to be content now. Learn to be at peace in Christ, and he can bring that peace to your life, and he can make you a happy person. He can make you a content person. So yeah. Ashley said, if a single woman is a drama queen, that will push away men. So lessen the drama. Don't be a drama mama. I agree completely. And with that, we are going to end. I hope you all enjoyed it. Share it, like it, tell single women about it. Try to be encouragement to other single women, but then also try to get advice from older women. Have that balance in your life. So Angeli, you keep being sweet. And Patricia, you too. You've wrote some very encouraging things on my Gently Led Sisters group. So I love all of you single ladies. I do not think that you are less of a person because you are single. I feel the opposite. I feel like you have so much potential to serve the Lord right now because I am so busy minding the things of my home and my husband and my kids. I don't have as great of ability to go out and soul win all the time, and to reach others with the gospel, and to be as involved in different ministries in my church. So you take advantage of that, and God will definitely bless you. And I do believe if it is a desire for you to get married someday, he will bring along that perfect guy. So you guys have a great week, and we will see you next week. All right. Bye.